Hey everyone, stage 4 of the Timeline Park contest has passed. Now, don't forget, if you missed the deadline of one of these rounds, you can always hand in your park at a later moment. But of course then your park will not get reviewed or featured in one of these videos. Anyway, we got 12 parks within the deadline. One got sent in after the deadline, but it still got sent in before I made this video, so I will also include it. So that means we have 13 parks in this video. Now, some people didn't join in stage 4, but the good news is there's also some people who caught up, and there's some people who are still catching up right now. So I think that's really good news. And I can't wait to see all your parks for stage 5. Alright, I think it's time to start with the first park. Alright, here's the first park. This one's from Amy, and she always makes the story together with her daughter Lily. The Island of Sadness, Part 4. After the oil spill, the company donated the ship to Lily and Amy to make a coaster with. They used all the parts. They even used the control tower as the station and the front of the ship as a big sign at the front. The coaster was called the Black Death because of what happened with the spill. It has a sign outside with information about oil spills and the environment. All the turtles are better now and are moved into Turtle Cove, and there's a skylift that people can go on to look at the turtles. The old turtle pool has been made into a little water ride called Save the Turtles Ride. Alright, then here's the park from AstroTurd. Now that the forest dwellers had made their own settlement in the confluence, the king became desperate to snatch up land as quickly as possible. He announced an edict that was sure to attract more settlers. The king declared that he would grant land rights to prospective builders on the condition that they integrate his vision of an entertainment center. A response came quickly from a group calling themselves the Scholars of the Gloom. They proposed a research outpost on the island to the south, where wildlife from the Gloomlands had spread. The king's clerics were not happy with the agreement, but the opportunity could not be missed. A large tower was constructed on the island. It served a dual purpose, as both a home for the bats that called the Gloomlands home, as well as a structure for the latest and most significant addition to the confluence. An extreme roller coaster wound its way to the woods of the island by day, and the bats had their reign over the island by night. The tower and ride were both dubbed the Roost. The king made a personal visit to the confluence to examine the progress. Bridges had been built, food and drink were available to his subjects, and an elevator had even been installed. He surveyed the latest additions to his realm with a smile. Momentum was building, and his ambition was only growing. Okay, and then here's my park. You probably already have seen a part of it in the announcement video for stage 4. Anyway, here's the story. James Dirkling got a sad letter in the mail. His aunt, Amber H. Dirkling, had sadly passed away on a visit to a mega park. It was an accident, I swear. The good news was that she left James a large sum of money, which he decided to invest in the park. His brothers now also started to realize the potential of the little park, and they decided to let James use more of the land if they could get a cut of the profits. James agreed to the deal and built a new Gerstlauer bobsled coaster with a bright color scheme in the park. Together with his brothers, James also built a small railway which gives guests a tour through the parts of the orchard surrounding the park. Okay, then here's the park from Fidwell. The rivalry continues. As the success of Lil Sluggers continues to grow, they began to receive attention from the nearby city planners, who offered an enormous grant to expand the park and increase local tourism. The park used this grant to make a huge expansion. This involved moving and expanding the parking lot, adding a shuttle from the new lot to the park, and the purchase of a larger roller coaster. The new Midway, with a carousel and shops, is now starting to give a real theme park feel to what was once a small family golf course. The park has even received permission to tear up some of the existing road for future expansion. Meanwhile, Dynagas is eyeing Lil Slugger's expansion with jealousy. A brand new corporate office might hint towards some new plans of their own. Alright, here's the park from Herbert. The park grew and blossomed. The guests were happy with the water slides and small coaster, but An Dung had bigger plans. He wanted to grow the park into an internationally acclaimed destination for thrill seekers. Since he could not afford an extremely expensive roller coaster, he went for a very unpopular model that had been built only once so far. Since the manufacturer was struggling, they were willing to give An Dung a discount on the model that wasn't too expensive in the first place. With a big bank loan, An Dung was able to afford the first major roller coaster for the park, with some spare money to improve the infrastructure of the park, erecting a chairlift, creating a new entrance plaza and building a new parking lot. His small collection of rides started to grow into a real theme park. Okay, then we have the park from Jean-Pierre Legrand. As the small family park continues to grow, the owners of the park, Sunny Frontiers, saw the potential the park had with the log flume built and the guests that came in. They decided to sell a park that was not very popular and focus fully on the family bird park, and even went so far to make a commercial for the new ride. They decided that the park needed a second coaster to attract more guests to the park. The park would build a premier skyrocket coaster and name it Sky. The name was chosen because of the owner's future plans. Furthermore, they also built an eating palace to have a general place where they can eat. Also, the rumors are spreading amongst park lovers that the park wants to build a dark ride, but that's something for the future. Okay, then we have the park from Canaifa. After a good season with the new log flume drawing in a lot of new guests, Canaifa heard a lot of talk about people liking Kennyland. Especially Mackett's Pizza Hut was a great success. But the local youth wanted something more exciting than a log flume. Sadly, the costs of the log flume added up and there was not a whole lot of money left to invest. So Canaifa went to look for some relatively cheap options. After a few months, a used custom aero corkscrew came available. And even though it had already operated for nearly 20 years, Canaifa didn't see any other options. He decided to take a gamble and buy a used coaster. The assembly went very smoothly and the coaster was up and running in no time. Some coaster enthusiasts complained the ride was not very smooth, but the coaster was a great success under the general public. Okay, the next park is from R. Adrian 1994. The story is quite long, so I hope you're comfortable. Swan Dive has proven to be a modest success for Southmouth Pleasure Gardens, although it has not managed to take the park to the next level, as some theme park enthusiasts had hoped. The cutesy new Main Street area, which was developed in last year's off-season, has a certain charm to it, but the park's unorthodox T-shaped layout did not enable guests to fully admire the mighty splash of the park's big water ride. What was needed for the next season was clear: an improved layout and a means of observing the big attractions in all their splendor. Taking the guests' feedback on board, the park's backer has invested heavily in developing the park's layout, incorporating a system of spacious paths with great vistas and plenty of foliage. In addition, the Rathaus building has been turned into a station for a new monorail ride, which tours the park, as well as the city's grassy clifftop area. The new ride offers stunning views of Southmouth Harbour, as well as a bird's eye view of the park's major attractions. However, the biggest investment by far is the park's new intimate family launch coaster, Sunset Speedway. This racing-themed ride sends riders hurtling around a tropical bay at high speeds. In spite of being a family coaster first and foremost, the impressive acceleration, 0 to 49 miles per hour in less than 3 seconds, could mark a possible move towards more thrilling attractions moving forward, if it proves to be popular. Rumor has it the park is also considering a redevelopment of the mini-golf attraction, as it no longer has the same pulling power that it used to, in spite of its favorable location near the park entrance. Tune in next time to find out if the park updates the old attraction or if a new exciting ride is developed in its place. Okay, the next one's from Soap and Butter Sandwich. I always really enjoy his stories. So, here it is. The Wastelanders' smartest people have formed a scientist group and went to look at the top of the volcano. They noticed that it was getting fuller with lava, so they set up a temporary lava storage place and began building their research facility around it. Meanwhile, the other Wastelanders found an ancient blueprint in the garbage of a wooden roller coaster that jumps the rails and was in a Western theme park. They decided to make their own, but not with the jumping thing, because that would be dangerous. They built the roller coaster whilst the scientists slept and converted the church that was definitely always there into a station. Unfortunately, someone ate the upstop wheels, so the woody jumps, but at least it is fun. The scientists got annoyed as it took up a lot of space, which they were going to put research stuff. So the coaster builders gave them a discount ticket price for the free-to-ride coaster, and they calmed down. Alright, here's the story for the Cloud QC. After the good reviews on the Cloud QC's brother management, they offered him to build a coaster and a railway to add on the park. So he had a compact coaster coaster named Classic and Ender, and his railway was built, but wasn't sure what he gonna call it. Also in this extension he said that wooden fences wasn't good enough for limiting the park's zone, so he said that there are like a billion of default parks fences that others always rid of that are still in great shape. So he said that he could borrow them, which is nice since the lumber camp outside of the map was having his chopping zone with 0 trees remaining, so a good call for the Cloud QC's brother. I can recommend letting someone proofread the story next time. Just to make sure that it's in proper English, and that would make it a little bit more easy for people to read. Just a little recommendation from my side. Alright, here's the story from The Shack. A single man who drinks too much. A father with 3 daughters who he rarely sees. A guy who is overweight and unemployed. A hand-packed house husband. A successful Hollywood agent married to a fashion designer. What do these 5 men have in common? They all share an amusement park. Now their former coach has died, and they are reunited at his funeral. Will the group rediscover old bonds? I added a pair of coasters called Shaolin Mountain and made an Asian area to complement it. Also, a new entrance area is a work in progress, along with the catalog of everything the park has and uses. Okay, the next story is from Trumavarium. The park now got their official entrance building in place. Not only that, pretty much everything from the old factory has been torn down. The big crane has disassembled most of itself and will shortly be shipped away. The parking lot is soon to undergo a reconstruction to be able to fit the demand. Rapidly, the park is seeing an increase in new visitors. Tourists from abroad have turned up to see the spectacle. The launched flat ride is facing a minor delay due to the bad soil foundation where it's standing currently. Hopefully it will be operational in a month or less. A brand new coaster and train attraction have been built as well. More land is being covered by the park. Despite this, a lot of the forest is recovering well. We can also see the water pond reservoir on the rise. Alright, and then we have the final story of this bunch. This park from Seklar. Lord Seraphan was impressed by Seklar's attempts and with the growth of the amusement park in the Hilden Plains. To heighten the grandeur, he funded the park with some upgrades. The park was given a bigger entrance and some adjustments for the station buildings of the attractions. The food stalls and souvenir shop were all relocated in a building. Seklar was surprised but very pleased with these upgrades, and the park was getting even more attention in the land of Meridian. He was allowed to build a train that rides guests through the plains. They also erected a small lake so the guests had something more to see. There was also a demand for some more action. With the profits he made over the last couple of years, he was able to build a new coaster in the park, the Soul Reaver. 2 more food buildings were also placed, one for some fast food and one for ice creams. Now that this park is more popular than ever, no one can tell what the future will bring. Okay, those were all the stories for stage 4 of the Timeline Park. Well, like I said before, I cannot wait to see all your stage 5 creations, and I really hope the players who are catching up now make it to also make it to stage 5 before the deadline. I would really love to see all these parks catch up, and I just can't wait to see all your beautiful creations. I really enjoy seeing all these Timeline parks grow over time. It's really fun to watch, and the effort you guys all put in it is incredible. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.